Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great day and welcome into the X Bomb Sports Live Show. I'll be your host for today. I am Drew Gwillem, and with me, you know him, boss man, King Dingaling,
King
Andrew,
Dingaling?
Andrew Valentin himself.
I give you these warm, embracing names that I pick up from the encyclopedia, and you call me King Dingaling.
It's word of the day calendar, okay? Let's get it right.
Got it. Word of the day.
I'm pretty sure if somebody called me King Dingaling, I'd feel pretty good about it.
I do. You know what? I'll embrace it. I like it. So, as King Dingaling, I approve of said title. I am the king of all dingalings, I guess.
Take it how you want it.
Yes.
It is what it is.
Yes. Otherwise,
other than that, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm doing good. You know, it's been a long week. I'm glad that we've kind of hit this mark now, starting to talk sports again. So it's a breath of fresh air for me, honestly.
Thursday, end of the week.
Yep, it's getting there.
One more day till the weekend.
So, well, your weekend.
Yeah,
my weekend consists of me still working.
Yeah, I'm not going to work tomorrow, so my weekend started today.
You lucky SOB.
Yeah, I was. Yep, it's been one of those weeks. So I figured if I didn't call it, and went to work tomorrow, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, so I better safe than sorry.
Decided it's a good idea to just stay away.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand that completely.
Yeah,
I'm coming for you, work.
Yeah,
I'm coming for you.
Me too.
Yeah.
Actually, I just want to get as far away from them as possible.
Very true.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because this is way more fun.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Someday we'll get paid for it.
We're working on it. We're working on it, folks. As always, I've got things. The wheels are spinning. Things are in the works. We're waiting to see on it. There's some things out there. We'll see.
There wasn't a shot at you.
No, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
I just listen. I'm always covering myself just in case.
Speaking of shots,
yes,
we've got an NBA team.
We do.
That takes a lot of shots.
Yes, we do.
Very efficient as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much the last couple. Not so much lately.
Yeah.
But our Chicago Bulls, here they are, getting back to basics. Chicago dropped the last two games, 116 to 110 versus Memphis, and 112 to 99 versus Miami.
Yep.
So after these two losses, they're very good teams that they played here. Okay, Don't get me wrong. There's both solid teams. What do you take away from these two losses? Are you concerned after the way they've been this last little stretch here, or what do you see from this last few games here?
I mean, I still listen. As the Bulls fan, I still have faith in this team. As the NBA fan / analyst that's up here talking about sports, it is a bit concerning, right? Because these are two teams that you definitely are going to be seeing in the playoffs, right? Memphis is already kind of lock, stock, and barrel in there. Obviously, they're on the West, so we don't have to worry about seeing them anytime soon. Miami's the one, though, that obviously is a bit of a concern, right? We've always talked about how there's a lot of similarities to these two teams, but obviously the difference between them is that Miami's been, for the most part, healthy. I don't think they've had like one major injury, as far as I know, on that roster, along the line of their stars, at least, right?
Yeah,
Chicago
nothing major.
Right. Chicago had all but like 7 guys out with COVID at one point, and then they had this entire stretch of players now who have just been hurt. Hopefully, we'll get a few of them back here.
Supposed
in the next couple weeks.
The next couple weeks should be getting Lonzo, I think.
Yep.
Or maybe not Lonzo, but Alex Caruso back, and Patrick Williams as well in the next couple weeks.
Yes. It sounds like possibly all 3, which would be great. But listen, the Memphis game. I know we're gonna get into the Memphis Grizzlies a little bit, but just like off the cusp, like, listen, they're really energetic. They're really young, right? Very talented. Jaws out of his
ridiculous.
Mind. He's very good.
Can't wait to get to a little conversation about him coming up.
Oh, yeah.
And there's your little teaser.
And I got some maybe not so fun thoughts people might not like. So I'll save that for when we get there. I will.
Okay.
I'll save it for when we get there.
Better not talk trash about Ja. I'm gonna.
I'll talk trash on Zion.
We will cut the mic on you.
I know. No, but listen, Memphis, really talented. The Bulls tried to make a comeback, which is great, but it's the fact that they had such a huge deficit at the end of the half that really was kind of like, I don't think this is going to happen for them, unfortunately.
They were never really in that game.
No, and they got very lucky that down the end, I think the Grizzlies got a little bit tired. They took the foot off the gas a little bit and it opened the door for the Bulls to kind of come in, right?
They bullied the Bulls. Anytime they have big, strong centers and power forwards down low banging against what we have, it's a problem because they always knock Vooch around, and that's where a guy like Tristan Thompson is a good pickup because he's one of those guys as well that can start pushing back.
Absolutely. Yeah, when you look at like Steven Adams, right? He's going to go one-on-one with Vucevic. He's a fighter, and I would have loved if the Bulls would have made a shot at him. But I still love Vooch nonetheless, obviously. I still love what he does, and he has certainly really accepted his role within this team. He knows he's not the main star, and he's okay with that. But the fact that he kind of got, like you said, bullied around by Steven Adams, and then you've got the Miami game where Miami just really did a great job handling the Bulls stars, right? They took it to DeMar DeRozan. They pressured him. They forced him to make bad shots. They went against Zach LaVine. Obviously, the word is that LaVine's not feeling 100% still with the knee.
About 75-80%, it sounded like.
Yeah, so he's not fully there. So, and they kept the pressure on him too. And Bam Adebayo, he may be smaller than Vooch, but he is a tough SOB.
Yeah, and
he
energetic.
Fights.
And plays hard.
And he can jump. He can jump and play defense. And that's the thing.
And that their whole team played defense from start to finish and did not let up.
Exactly.
And that was the difference in this game because the Bulls didn't play the Bulls were very flustered at the start of that Miami game. They did not look good. The defense got all over them and stayed on them, and you saw the result.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Defense, that's the big concern of all of this, right? It's the fact that you don't have Lonzo out there as your starting point guard to shut down the main guy that's handling the ball, right? Gary Vincent scores the most points on that team in Miami outside of Tyler Hero, obviously, of the starters. That shouldn't be happening. Nothing against Gary Vincent. It's just like he's not a name that you would associate as being like your top scorer, right? Lonzo probably shuts him down. Caruso, I think, has been the biggest hurt of them all because certainly he's not only been just an anchor for that bench, kind of being the leader, he's also been an anchor for this defense in general. He gets the steals. He makes the difference. He brings the ball, on the fast break off those steals. He is a game changer in that. And I think not having him is not only been showing lately, but now more than ever, it's going to be crucial to get one of those two back. And I would rather have Lonzo back, honestly, at this point. Nothing against Caruso. I'd rather have the starter back so he can get back into his regular form. But getting them both back would be nice as well.
Right.
Considering that you do have now Tristan Thompson, who can be another defensive player for you to work off the boards as well. That unit, I think, when they get together, hopefully when it does happen, they will actually be like a consistent defensive team again. Maybe not top 10. I don't think they can get there again, but you can definitely get like back into the middle of the pack for the NBA at this point for defense.
Since we're already on the category, since it has been a concern, but yeah, I agree. I think Alex Caruso to me, Alex Caruso is the heart and soul of that defense. You saw when he came back from that stretch, he was out with COVID protocols, and then he was dealing with a little bit of an ankle injury, I think.
Yeah.
When he came back, you saw that defense jump.
Yeah.
They took off.
Absolutely.
Because of his energy, his effort, it rubs off on everybody, and that's exactly what this team needs. You see they don't play that defense when he's out, when he hasn't been in the lineup.
Yeah.
It's a night and day.
Absolutely.
Night and day. And then you get a guy like Lonzo who turns good defense into offense because of his vision down court, passing the ball, all of that. So definitely they're two of their best defenders right there in Caruso and Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
So getting them back is going to be huge.
Absolutely.
That's where I think why I'm not concerned about the defense is because they don't have that heart and soul playing right now.
Right.
Once he gets back into form, I think Lonzo Ball overall is more important to this team, but they're still able to score with what they have, and Io has been playing the point very well.
Yeah,
he has done very well, and he's getting that game experience, and some of these bigger games he's been playing in is giving him a better taste of when playoff time comes.
Right,
which is going to be huge for him to be coming off the bench and be able to play defense and score. For them as well.
I mean, let's be honest too. Like Io is supposed to really learn behind Lonzo and Alex Caruso, most likely when it comes to being like a two-way guard, right? And then most likely he's supposed to learn from Levine on how to be an all-around kind of offensive player.
You see that mid-range game, he's already been learning from DeRozan.
Absolutely. I mean, he's he's worked really well, and clearly with the experience he had at U of I at the University of Illinois, it's paid off. It's clearly paid off, and I expect him to continue to grow. I hope they can hold on to him for the long haul, because I'll tell you this, by the time his contract is up, he's going to probably be a hot commodity, is my estimation. Like, I mean, unless they or maybe they make the decision, who knows, I don't want to see any of these guys leave, obviously.
Right.
But if he becomes good enough and you think he can take over that role of Lonzo or somebody like that, and you think there's a move to be made, I would say it'd be worth it. But it's got to be with his growth coming along the way as well.
Yeah, and I think Io is one of those not diamond in the rough kind of players, but one of those guys that probably should have been drafted in the first round.
Oh, absolutely.
And wasn't. And he was a steal where the Bulls got them.
Yeah.
And for him to be a hometown kid in Chicago, drafted in the second round and just killing it and looking really good as such a young player is awesome for the future for this team.
Absolutely.
And good for the defense too, because he's been one of the better defenders on the team with your two top guys playing defense out.
Yeah, for sure.
But on the other side of the ball, this offense needs to take the lead a little bit more. They need to stay consistent and keep leads with when the defense is failing some, like you saw against Miami, really.
Right.
Again, Memphis, two very good teams. The defense was very tough in Miami, and Memphis is just, they ball out every night. They've got some good defenders, but they can score on you like that.
Right.
So for me, I'm not concerned about the offense, because once they get these guys back, that defense is going to turn into more offense, and you see them scoring more like they have been.
Right.
Are you concerned about this defense the way it's been? What do you see these guys coming back? You see it getting back to the better defense they've been playing earlier on in the season, or what do you see coming from them?
I do. I like I said before, I think that this defense, once they're all together, excuse me, I think that they can be like 15, 14, in terms of, ranking the defense, right? I think they could be in the middle of the pack, because right now they're towards the bottom, unfortunately, and it sucks saying that, because they were in that top 5 category for like a good month and a half for a while there, and then obviously everything happened. They slipped down into they were still in the top 10, by the way, even when the guys were out with COVID and everything. So they were still in that high category, but clearly as the injuries go, it slipped down a little bit. I think they can get back to the middle of the pack. And yeah, I agree. The offense is not a real major concern either, right? This is kind of, I don't want to say a typical Bulls thing. It kind of is though, right? They get a lead, they lose the lead, and then they kind of have to fight back to get the lead. That's kind of been their like motto for like the last 10 years now. But I think this is also a team that when they get a lead, I think they can still hold it. But like you said, once everybody's back, that defense makes the difference, because they help to hold that lead as well. It's not just all on the offense, then it's on the defense containing the other team and giving you that 10-plus point lead going into the fourth, so that this way you can at least maybe win the game by like 6 or 8, Yeah.
And again, both sides of the ball feed off of that defense.
Right.
So getting these fresh legs back.
Yes.
Lonzo's going to have fresh legs. Yes, he's got to work that knee back in.
Right.
Russo's going to have fresh legs. And then the freshest of all, who's supposed to be one of your top defenders on the team and one of your better players, Patrick Williams, when he comes back, I mean, they got to give him time to get back acclimated to the game and all that. But
he is 21 years old.
It shouldn't take long.
I would imagine half a practice and he should be okay. He is full of he's a bound of energy. He's a fun-loving smile guy, and when he gets on the court, he's super serious. So I like his style of play. I really do. So I think like I said, I think I half a practice, a full practice, I think he's back probably in the norm. It's just a matter of getting accustomed to these new teammates that you have not played with, right?
And
That's the biggest thing.
Your conditioning back under you, and I'm not concerned about that. So,
no.
But with these guys coming back and this final push to the end of the season here coming up, there's 20 games left, 11 road games in March. 22nd to 29th, 5-game road stretch.
Oh man.
So
Ugh.
with players coming back, with
Yeah.
this team getting more whole,
Mm-hmm.
with hopefully maybe these guys coming back, maybe Zach could get a few games off, rest that knee a little bit.
Yeah.
Once everybody comes back, what do you see coming from the Bulls in this final stretch of the season, and how they're gonna end up in the standings and where they might land for the playoffs?
Yeah, listen, this run through March and then that very small window in April when they have those last few games where they have that it's a 5-game road and then it's a 5-game home stretch and it ends in Minnesota away, which is a makeup game for those who don't know. That still has not been determined when it will be played, but that will be it's April 10th it'll be played, but the time has not been decided, whatever. But that's the makeup game. So the Bulls right now, as it stands, and listen, March is going to be tough, right? You're taking on you're taking on Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Utah, Phoenix, Milwaukee again. You've got Cleveland. LA Clippers are going to still be a tough team. You got to take on Miami again. I mean, in the stretch of April, it's LA, Miami, Milwaukee, Boston, Charlotte at the end. That's that 5-game at home. The 5 games on the road, it's at Milwaukee, at New Orleans, at Cleveland, at New York, at Washington. 2 of those games should be winnable.
Yeah.
Considering that the Knicks are garbage. The Pelicans, although they did beat the Lakers, and
that's not saying much.
That's not saying much, and we'll get into that, I know, a little bit later on here too. But that should be a winnable game. The Washington game is a little bit it could go either way. It kind of depends on how good Bradley Beal is going to be on that night. But I mean, Milwaukee and Cleveland are going to be the tough ones. I mean, this is going to be a tough run. This is your chance to show, are you really truly competitors? Are you really truly contenders?
They have one of the hardest remaining schedules left in the league.
Them and Milwaukee right now have the
2-3 somewhere in there, the hardest schedules.
I think last time I saw it was Milwaukee's considered to be the hardest, and Chicago's considered to be the second hardest. And it's funny that it worked out that way because obviously it's hard for both of them because they have to play each other. And Milwaukee, I mean, Giannis has said, he's like, listen, we can't overlook the Bulls right now because of the way they've sprung out. Everybody's kind of discounting them at this point because obviously they've had a little bit up and downs. But he said you can't look past them because they played really well. And
with all the injuries, they have survived through these injuries and still played well and still won games.
Yeah.
Yes, their record against top teams in the league so far hasn't been very good.
No.
But, again, they're staying with them with all the injuries.
Exactly.
And losing their best defenders.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is, like, even if you don't win these games, I mean, it's important, I think, to win those games for sure. Absolutely. It helps confidence. It gives confidence in the fan base. It gives confidence in the franchise. And it also puts pressure on those winning teams to say, oh, they're going to hang with us. They're going to beat us. They're going to give us some L's, so we have to be ready for them for playoffs. But just being able to stay with them shows, like, you can be competitive with the top teams. Once you get these guys back, the hope is that they will be the thing that takes you over the top. So even if it means you beat Milwaukee only by 2 or 4 points, I'll take it. It's a win against Milwaukee. You just showed Giannis and everybody in America that the Bucks can be beat. These are the defending champions. That's what you want to show people, that you can beat them. You can beat Phoenix, who is considered to be unstoppable right now, even without Chris Paul in the lineup, right? I mean, if you can beat those teams, and especially Philly, which would be great, especially after Philly whoops that ass in Brooklyn.
Well, getting KD back.
Yeah, and again, we'll get into that too as well. So, but if you can beat those teams, or at least if you can have a winning record against some of the top teams in this stretch, especially with all these games on the road, I think that's that's the perfect energy you need going into the playoffs then. I think that gives you every opportunity to be a top 3 seed, go in there and be able to have a chance. At least give yourself a good chance to fight with the best of them, especially getting these guys back.
Yeah, for me, it's get these guys back. If they're still struggling with these players back and they don't look much better as a whole, then I'll start being really concerned. But as of now, I'm still feeling good about this team. Getting all these players back and what comes next for them once they're all healthy is should be exciting. And
Absolutely.
I'm really excited for the Bulls to actually be in the playoffs again.
I can't wait. Tonight they got Atlanta. They're in Atlanta tonight. So this kicks it all off for March. So we'll see how it starts.
Absolutely. And you know what I can't wait for?
What's that?
Little more NBA talk. Hot topics around the league coming up next here on the X-Bomb Sports Live Show. We are back. I am still Drew Willem, and this is still Andrew Valentine. And the Bulls are winning 4-2.
All right. Hey, we're starting off on a good note.
Yep. Bulls Hawks tonight, if you didn't know.
Yes.
Let's kick that ass. Little injuries on their side, so hopefully that works to our favor. They're trying to get healthy as well and move up in the standings.
I mean, it's Trae Young or nothing for them at this point, so.
Well, yeah, John Collins has been out. He's a really good player for them, and he's not playing tonight either. So
no,
it's good for our Bulls.
I think we dodged a bullet on that one. I'll be honest.
But
like John Collins.
Yes. But aside from the Bulls and the rest of the NBA, there's this certain team in LA, right? According to their team, they've got a lot more L's than just the L in LA.
Yep.
It's like 7 lately. I believe it's like 7 L's. Lakers continue to drop after a 3-7 record in the last 10 games. Not looking good. Not looking good at all for them. It's kind of what we expected with this old team.
Yeah.
But through the last 10 games, just quick overview, what do you see from the Lakers and how bad or how much worse do you think this could get for them?
Does everybody remember that tweet that LeBron put out where he was like, everybody doubt us, everybody talk about our age or all that stuff, and he's like, just wait to see what happens in the season. This is what we were talking about here, LeBron. This is what they are on their 4th straight in the last since January, since the year changed. They're on their 4th straight 3-game losing streak. 4th. That should not be happening. Since the year change, are you kidding me? That you don't win championships that way. That LeBron is still saying they have a chance. In these last 7 games, they have the 3 wins. They've beat Portland. Okay, they beat Portland. They beat New York, and they beat Utah. The Utah team is the only thing that's impressive out of that. Otherwise, they lost to Philly. They lost to Charlotte. They lost to Atlanta. They lost to the Clippers. They lost to Milwaukee. Portland, Golden State, LA Clippers again, the New Orleans embarrassment that they got slapped with, where all of a sudden the fans started booing them and they decided to start talking back smack. And then the comeback from the Dallas Mavericks, thanks to good old Luka seeming like he shed off the pounds and decided he wants to play some MVP basketball again. This team is embarrassing. I mean, embarrassingly bad. And it's not, and I can't even blame LeBron's play for it because he's the only one on there that's played like an actual all-star player. Anthony Davis once again is hurt.
Shocking
on that. Again.
No,
Bulls,
we don't want him on the Bulls either. Maybe before he went to LA, I would have been on board for that. But now, just the way year after year after year, this man cannot be on the court. Best availability,
absolutely.
Best ability is availability, and he's not there for it.
No, absolutely not. And this is, and I say that too. Where listen, he's had a great career. I do think he's got an easy chance to make the Hall of Fame. But when you talk about availability, what's your status on being able to be available? I kind of question if maybe that's going to hurt him in the long haul when you've only played over 70 games twice in your career. I don't know. Not too many Hall of Famers out there that have had that.
It's tough.
It's tough to make that. And then Russell Westbrook. He doesn't care. He clearly does not care.
Your frustrations are the same as the frustrations boiling over for LA. Okay?
Yes.
So James continues to back the team, but like you said, what Westbrook is just basically shrugging his shoulders.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. So if you heard the press conference, obviously after the Pelicans thing when they were getting booed, which by the way, LeBron's kind of chatting back with the fans, being like, "I forgot more than you know," which. We know you forgot more than we know. We understand that, but
congratulations.
Do you really have to go back at the fans? I get Kobe and a few others. Jordan did it too, going with the fans every now and then. But for the most part, those guys were the silent assassins. They just played basketball and killed it.
Yep.
The best one was though watching the bench. You got Dwight Howard who's telling fans to shut up. You got Russ who's saying go home from the bench. And that was the big focal point. Is Russ is like, I got my kids and my wife at home, so I'm not going to take that home with me. When he was asked about, does this carry with you? And he's like, no. And he kind of just shrugged his shoulders at it. And according to Mark Stein, it's apparently he doesn't care if they make the playoffs or not. That's from what I've heard from Mark Stein on his reports, is that Russ has no interest on whether or not the Lakers make the playoffs, which is just asinine to me. Because as a true competitor, you're an LA kid. You wanted to be a Laker your whole life, you said. You wanted to be Kobe, winning championships over and over again. And this is how you act as a Laker? LeBron gets along with everybody. That's one thing you can give him credit for. He's a nice guy. He gets along with all of his teammates except one, and that's because Kyrie didn't really want to get along with him, I don't think.
Kyrie made that difficult.
Yeah, he made it difficult. But Russ is doing the same thing. He's making life difficult for LeBron to be able to have a relationship with this guy, because he clearly does not care about what happens with this team. He just plays basketball, whatever his stats are, whatever his stats are. I think the last game he was 5 for 17 or something like that with 12 points. That's the Russell Westbrook we know now. That's the kind of guy we expect from him, Mr. Triple-Double. I'm sorry. This Lakers team is far buried away. And I'll say this. If you want to cut up the pie, a third of it is on LeBron because you asked for Russ to be here. You wanted Anthony Davis to be here. You should have known about these injuries. And the Anthony Davis thing worked. It worked. You got a championship. They did win a championship. They did win a championship. You did get a very easy break, though, because of the 3-month bubble and everything like that. So, but nevertheless, you got a championship. But the Russ thing, you brought in old guys. You brought in Russ. It's been a disaster. Rob Pelinka, I think, also gets a cut of this because you let this happen. And then it goes to Jeannie Buss, the owner, because she obviously approved the ability for Rob Pelinka and LeBron to kind of have control over the roster at this point. And then they want to throw their foot down when they say, we don't want to trade a first-round pick in Russ for John Wall, which is not an upgrade, by the way. It's really not, because John Wall hasn't played all year long.
And can't stay healthy himself.
Yeah, but I will say this. He could at least be a better teammate than Russell Westbrook at this point. I don't know. I don't know where they think they have a chance. Even Frank Vogel said they have a chance. I don't know what he's... I know things are legal there in LA for a long time. I know there's other things that are available there, but I don't know what they're taking. But I sure wish I could have some of their optimism at this point, or again, whatever they're taking to get that optimism, because I don't see it. That's me.
Well, they're saying things.
Yes.
And not the right things.
No.
Yeah. Magical floating dragons or something like that. But they're not seeing the ball go in the hoop because this team has been not good.
When you have Magic Johnson saying that this team is a mess, and this isn't the Lakers franchise that I once knew and loved, and to his credit too, I mean, love him or hate him, I heard Gottlieb talking about, I guess one day when he was sitting with Kobe, they had drinks together, kind of when LeBron had already committed to the Lakers, and I guess Kobe told him at one point, LeBron's not going to make it in LA because he just doesn't know this city, and they're never going to accept him because he's not a Laker. And I honestly think that that's part of the problem here, too. The fans don't view LeBron as a Laker. He plays for the Lakers, right? Kobe's a Laker.
Yeah.
Magic Johnson's a Laker. Kareem's a Laker. LeBron, he's just playing for the Lakers. And when you're the outsider, I mean, let's be honest, here in Chicago, right? If you're the outsider, it's really... Even Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade's a hometown kid. We love him. But it was sometimes you could see it. Some fans had a hard time accepting him being on this team because he didn't grow up a Bull.
Because he was there for a paycheck, and everybody knew it. They were overpaying him to be here when he was out of his prime and his career was basically over. He didn't do much for this team.
No.
And he was collecting money. That's
Right.
all it was.
Yes. And listen, it's his decision, of course.
Right.
But that's the thing. You have to
get
connect.
as much money as you can while you can.
Right. But you have to connect with the city in some way.
Right.
And I think LeBron does do that, but I think he's still considered the outsider that moved in.
Right.
That's why Cleveland loves him so much.
Because
he's
from there, he connected with
Yes.
that city. He's done so much for that city.
Right.
And Akron and all around the Cleveland area.
Exactly. You were born there. They picked you. They drafted you. You grew up there. You helped that franchise become something. That's why when he left for Miami and then came back, they were still willing to kind of be like, we'll embrace you because you're us. We know you. You are a Cavalier. You're one of us. That's the thing. It doesn't work with him in Cleveland, unfortunately. Or it doesn't work with him in LA. I do think he's gone.
Not much is working in LA.
No, not unfortunately.
If AD stays healthy, it could be it's going to be a different story because he's a really good player and would help elevate that team a lot
Absolutely.
more. But as it is, they're struggling, and I don't see those struggles getting any better anytime soon.
Right now, they're in 9th place in the West. So take that for what you will, folks. And they have a losing record at 27-34. And I believe the Pelicans are not too far behind them. So take that for what you will, folks. It's the Lakers.
Downfall.
No. Yeah.
Well, a team that's not struggling, Philadelphia. Philly has the Willie?
I would say so.
Question mark?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I just added that myself.
That's I understand that.
Okay. All right. But Philly's not struggling because, one, they have Embiid. Two, because they just have a new man by the name of James Harden arrival, sparked energy into the 76ers. And they're 2-0 since his debut versus Minnesota.
Yeah.
Average in the last 2 games, 28 points, 9 rebounds, 14 assists, plus 27 plus minus. Okay. So you kind of see what happens when Harden wants to be somewhere and he's re-energized into doing what he wants to do again.
Absolutely.
With Harden being there, how much better does it make this team? Obviously, we've seen what it's done in 2 games, but going forward and into the playoffs, how much better does it make this team? Do you think that makes them title contenders in the East?
Yeah.
And how long before James Harden gets tired of being in Philly and more forces his way out of there?
I knew you were going to ask that question. Well, to just add a little bit of something. So now they're 3-0 because they beat the Knicks now.
Oh yeah,
at home. So they are
correct.
I didn't correct it, unfortunately.
Yeah,
they are 3-0, but yes,
of a win.
Give it
smoked them.
right, exactly. Another easy, almost 20-point victory for them again, 123-108. So again, it's the Knicks. So take it for what you will. But listen, he had another night of 26 points, 9 assists, 9 rebounds, and he was plus 9. James Harden being on the 76ers is exactly what I said when we talked about the trade deadline move. This is a win for Philly. This is what they needed. The outside shooting and the passer to the distributor to get the ball to Joel Embiid so that they have the 1-2 punch. Is it Kobe and Shaq like Kendrick Perkins keeps trying to make us believe? No. It's not anywhere near that.
No.
But in terms of that dynamic like guard-center duo, they absolutely have that connection. And let's not forget, too, Tobias Harris, albeit is not
really
maybe,
good player.
Is still a decent player. And now Dylan Maxey, who had 4 points in this last game at the half, and then James Harden was like, are you going to play in this game or what? And then has 21 points in the second half. So you have a huge opportunity now to say we have one huge man down low that's, I'm going to say, probably going to win MVP, unfortunately. But it's still, he's played like an MVP, so I think he deserves it for sure. You've got now a guard who can shoot outside, who can be your distributor, who can just be like your manhandler at the top. Then you've got another guard who can kind of work the inside out. He's great at being able to drive and shoot the mid-range and the 3 too. And you have a forward that can kind of be a little bit of everything, and he's a defensive pusher. This team right now reads like it could be like a number 2, number 3 seed, which as a Bulls fan obviously worries me.
Right.
But at the same time, you got to give them a little bit of credit for what they've done because clearly they made the right move at the right time for the right player that fits that system. Doc Rivers knew I need a guy that's going to help support Embiid, that's not going to clash with him, and then that's also going to play. So he got that guy.
while he's engaged,
Right,
he'll play.
of course. And as far as will he get upset in Philly and all that stuff, and will he leave? I think whenever Embiid does get hurt, because unfortunately he is another guy who it's inevitable at some point. I think he will get injured. Not this year, I don't know, but like maybe next year or something like that. If the case is that he does want to stay on the long term, I think once he gets hurt, we'll see if he's actually content with saying, "All right, I'll wait for him. I'll just sit and wait," because clearly he was not willing to wait for Durant, and he was clearly frustrated with Kyrie Irving. No matter what he wants to say or not say, he was clearly frustrated with both. So how is he going to react when Embiid does get hurt, or if they make a move off of somebody, right? Because there's a rumor that says Tobias Harris might be traded in the offseason. So I don't know if that's going to affect anything either. But this Phillies team right now, this 76ers team, I think absolutely has every possibility now of actually being a contending team, maybe even getting themselves back to the Eastern Conference Finals, I think. Might even be like a finals team. I don't know. But right now I could see them at least getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's how good I think they are.
Yeah, I agree. I think Embiid is playing like the MVP. I may have put a little schmeckle on someone else. Had a little. The odds weren't quite in his favor, but we will get to him soon.
Yes.
We'll get to him very soon. But yeah, the whole Kobe and Shaq thing, James Harden is never going to be the player that Kobe is.
No.
But Embiid, I don't want to say he has the potential to be better than Shaq.
Absolutely.
Maybe not quite as dominant just because of the sheer size of Shaq and just bullying people, but Embiid could shoot the three.
Absolutely.
He could play inside out. He could play all over the court.
Yeah.
He does everything. He can pass. He can rebound. He does everything for that team. And then adding a really good passer in James Harden, just one more step up.
Yeah.
And plus, with Ben Simmons wasn't even playing anyways, it made sense for them to do that deal and get him there.
Yeah.
And you can see what happens when James Harden is engaged, because you see what happens when James Harden is not engaged and doesn't want to play.
Absolutely.
He looks like he puts on weight. He, I don't want to say fakes injuries, but plays like he's more hurt than he might be.
Right.
Because he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to do it. He's a crybaby. He's a crybaby, like Aaron Rodgers style crybaby. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, real quick, I heard Charles Barkley today say,
"Oh yeah,
Aaron Rodgers is like that really pretty girl that you have to keep telling every single day that she's pretty."
I've said that before.
Yeah.
I thank you, Charles. Thank you.
But I think James Harden is that same kind of guy. If he's not getting that courtship that he wants, if he's not, people aren't showing him that want,
right,
that they need him.
Yeah.
He just falls off.
No,
and for me, like I wouldn't want that kind of guy on my team, because it's unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen, what he's going to do next, and which way he's going to take his NBA career.
Right.
He could be there and gone like that.
Yeah. 2
teams within what? 13 months, 16 months, whatever it was?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. I mean,
it's not good.
Yeah, well, and it's the thing, like, even with, like, again, not to go back to Russ, but like what, Russ, 5 teams in 5 years, like, that's not a good look. No, and I agree with that. Listen, James Harden to some degree is a bit of a prima donna. He does need a bit,
a lot of bit.
Yeah, it's. Listen, I don't want to say it's the beard, but it might be the beard. Not your beard. Yeah, your beard is beautiful. His is just all out of control at this point. But I don't know. To me, with James Harden, I mean, in that whole situation of, does he care? Does he not care? I do believe to some degree he at least cares about playing basketball.
Right.
But I think I agree, though. I think he needs to be like, tell me I'm beautiful, please.
Tell me you want me.
Right, exactly. Tell me I'm good, right? And that's, and sure, we'll do that, but I think at some point there will be that breaking point. I do think that they'll come to that line, and I think it'll be the Embiid situation of him getting hurt, or
they don't win a championship,
right?
Or they get close and don't win, and do the same thing next year, and that's going to mount more frustration.
Absolutely, and I'll say this too, because you said Embiid to the next Shaq, and I know Shaq at one point said, I think he said like Embiid's the only one that comes close. I honestly think Joel Embiid is maybe the only thing that I could compare to like Hakeem Olajuwon. Just because
Well,
there's a smoothness to his game that I like. I mean, the silky shots, the really.
I do believe he was kind of a mentor for Embiid
He
as
was
well.
actually.
So
if you don't
that's
know.
probably has a lot to do with it.
He went to Camp Olajuwon,
Yeah.
folks, and Camp Olajuwon, I believe, may be the best camp if you're a big man, particularly now in the NBA.
He's one of the best big men of all time.
Absolutely. Who doesn't love the baby jumper that he used to give? That's one of the best moves.
Yep.
Real quick too, our guy King BMAC had something to say. He said, Harden and Embiid is good until the first time Embiid yells at him on the sideline for dribbling the air out of the ball for 22 seconds. I like that. I know what it's fair. That could happen because Harden does over dribble a lot. He loves to look for the move and stuff, and he just plays with the ball. And yeah, if I'm Joel Embiid, I'm like, will you throw the ball down low to me? I'm 7 feet tall. For God's sakes, I can get the dunk. And it's not hard.
There's very few players that can hang with him.
Yeah. And then he also says too, and chucking up a step back three, trying to draw a foul, and he doesn't get in the playoffs. Yeah, I agree with that too. If they don't, I mean, if they fall somehow out of contention in the playoffs, this becomes a whole new conversation, I think. And I think he's like, I'm going to free agency, forget all this.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? You have to win for this guy to, I guess, to be happy. Which, and listen, any player wants to. You got to win to be happy for any player, I'm sure. But for James Harden, I mean, you're running. It's not that he's running out of spots, but like you're running out of opportunities for championship teams or championship caliber teams to take you on.
Right, to take chances on you.
Right.
And hoping that you're going to stick with the team and play and be the team player you're supposed to be.
Exactly. Like if he went to, like somebody was like, what if he went to Milwaukee? I'm like, if he went to Milwaukee, Giannis would probably like throw him out the door if he did something stupid. Like,
right.
He's not putting up with that stuff because he's already said, I'm not putting up with some selfish teammate, bullcrap. He's not going to do that. So,
yeah. Well, and with this Philly team and that trade they made, there is a special game coming up on March 10th. We are going to have the 76ers match up against the Brooklyn Nets.
I will be watching this game from a theater seat with popcorn and hot dogs and everything all around me. I cannot wait for this game because and this is just me, I am fully of the belief that Ben Simmons not going to play in this game.
It doesn't sound like
because, I don't know if you heard the news. Our man TJ just let us know the back soreness has now turned into a back injury.
Yes.
And he was like, what, in a sling, right? Something like that. You said, TJ, right? A harness. Yes, a harness. Because I don't know what happened to him. I'm assuming his ego got so heavy it's now broken a vertebrae in his back or something. I don't know what yeah, exactly. I don't know.
His head's blown up like a balloon.
I'm not. I don't want to go on this guy. But listen,
Yes, you do.
I do. But I'm gonna hold it back because I fully expect the 76ers to. I know Durant's back, but I expect the 76ers. They're gonna have a good game plan. They're gonna take it to Brooklyn. I'm thinking a double-digit win on this, like by 15 or something like that. And I expect full chance to go against Ben Simmons, whether he's in that arena or not. They're going to let him know that there is no love to him whatsoever now in Philly. I'm excited for this. I really am.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I don't think it's going to be that much of a blowout because, yes, they are getting these players back.
Right.
Yes, it's just getting KD back. I think he'll give him a couple games before this one to get into the swing of things. But, I just think Philly's the overall healthier team and the better team right now.
Right.
So Embiid and Harden have clicked right away.
Right. Yeah.
So then, is this a game on the road or at home?
This game I believe is in
Philly, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. So Kyrie can play.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken. I will look that up real quick.
So that will help them because if it's just KD, then they're going to be in trouble.
Yes, it's at Philly. It's at Philly. So Kyrie will most likely 100% be playing in that game because they're going to need his butt.
Absolutely. They will. I still think it's going to be a really good game. Yeah, I think Philly might come out on top on this one.
Yeah.
But, going forward,
right,
as Brooklyn gets healthier, I think it's going to make for, who knows, Eastern Conference finals type of matchup.
Yeah,
I hope not, because then that means the Bulls are out of it.
Right.
But this could be a Clash of the Titans coming.
Yeah, and like I said, though, it's just clearly Ben Simmons, it doesn't sound like is going to be ready for this game if that's the case. If you're in a harness with a back injury, it's not happening.
And a lot of people are saying this is kind of fabricated to kind of keep him away from this game because he may not. I heard something about mental health with Ben Simmons as well. So I don't want to go too hard in him if that's the case.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's being used as an excuse because I don't know.
Right.
But that's something that should never be used as an excuse for anything. Or you're saying this because it's a reason to not play in this game where people won't give you crap about it.
Exactly.
If that's the case, then that's pretty awful, and that makes him a soft human being. And I don't know how somebody like that is going to make any more of a career in the NBA if this is your mindset and this is how you're going to go about the game.
Yeah.
I don't see him doing much in this league going forward, if anything at all.
No, I'm right there. I mean, listen, when this went down, I obviously gave my burning speech about the Ben Simmons move to Brooklyn. You're trading one city who's clearly going to attack you for the other. If you don't have the right mentality, they're going to crush you. And he clearly doesn't have the right mentality. Whether that's because of mental health issues or not, I can't really say. But I do have the distinctive feeling that because it was something that came out just after the 76ers decided to fine him and say, you're not getting your money, well, I'm going to say it's mental health issues because now I can get my money. Whether it is or isn't, again, I can't speak to, but it just all conveniently lines up too perfectly to say that may not have been the case. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it is a very probable cause because of the timeline of everything.
Right.
And now this situation coming out, I don't want to say like
back injury,
back soreness becomes back injury.
It's too convenient.
It is. It's just it reads like what's going to happen in the story, right? You know, if the guy's going to open the closet in the horror movie that, and the music's building up, you know what's going to happen. You know that man is going to die, right? You know what's going to happen in that moment. It's the same thing here. The back soreness was the first sign to it. It's, my back is hurting now. Oh, really? Well, March 10th is right around the corner. Now it's a back injury and he's in a harness. Oh, how convenient that comes up. So does that mean you'll be ready? You've got about 7 days to be ready for that game. Do you think you'll be ready in about a week? Well, you never know. Well, so that means you probably won't be. It's just the writing is too much on the wall at this point. I'm sorry. He is the dead man walking in the horror movie at this point. The music is played. The killer is behind you with the knife, and you are all but done, my friend. So,
well, speaking of back, we've got another back problem in the East. The Celtics are back on track.
Yes,
which is not necessarily a good thing for the Bulls.
Right.
I still think in a series the Bulls would do fine against them.
I think so too.
Jaylen Brown just has a sprained ankle last night, so he's out. He was out for the rest of the game and not playing.
I believe they said it would be about maybe 2-3 weeks tops. I think is what they're looking at.
And who knows? We'll see what happens with that going forward. But the Celtics have been on a nice streak and turned their season around. 21-11 at home, 6th in the Eastern Conference, 8-2 record in the last 10.
Yeah.
Plus 5.4 assist to turnover ratio.
Yeah.
So this team, Jason Tatum is playing like a superstar that they hoped he would be. Jaylen Brown has played awesome this year.
Yeah.
So getting him back healthy is going to be huge for this team. Boston Celtics. You see them continuing this ascension, or you think they're going to level back off and stick to where they're closer to where they not started the season, but somewhere along the midseason before they took off here? You see them more like that, or what we've seen in the last 10?
I think they will continue. That's tough. It's so tough with this team because they looked so bad at the beginning.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like they've turned it around. Like it's clicked, right? Udoka, the new coach now, it's kind of like he found a system that works. Their defense, by the way, has been very good. They're another team now that's stepping up on the defensive side of the ball. They've now they got Marcus Smart back finally from injury. And Jason Tatum has kind of become he's becoming a more and more solid two-way wing. He's becoming more of that guy that you wanted to see. Clearly Jaylen Brown is like being the leader of the team, but Jason Tatum has been absolutely electrifying over the last few games now for them. I fully expect this team, I think, they'll have their bumps, but I think they'll have a winning record come like the end at this stretch. I think they'll have a winning record because they play so, and it's the Celtics. That's the weird thing. Is like it's the Celtics always have that good team game thing, right? Pass the ball, make the perfect pass, kind of like the Bulls a little bit. Find the efficient shot. The only thing is that they have guys who have a little bit better range, and I would say a little bit more pop on their jump shots, so they're allowed to kind of take more threes. They have guys who have a little bit more sharpshooting ability, so they take more opportunities from the three-point line with like Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and those guys. So in a sense, the Celtics kind of, have that ability to kind of step out more, but they still play really good defense. They still play very physical. They're very good with finding the open shot and being efficient. This is still like kind of Brad Stevens kind of at the helm of this team. So I think the Boston Celtics, I don't know if they'll necessarily push into the top 4. I think they'll probably be like 5 or 6 at this point. I think they're right where they should be at, but I think they can finish with a winning record at the end of this. I think they're 37-27 at this point. I think they could have like 45, 46 wins by the end of it. Yeah, I think they could be that team.
I totally agree with you. I think they're gonna. Yes, they are gonna have their bumps.
Absolutely,
they aren't gonna play this well going forward consistently.
Right,
but getting Jaylen Brown back, that's gonna help them as well.
Mm-hmm.
For me, they're 5 through 7 range, somewhere around in there.
Right.
Because I think Brooklyn's gonna jump with them being healthy.
Yeah.
And that leaves them Brooklyn's below them right now.
Right.
So that gives them a chance to jump up some. Where I don't necessarily see like a ton of. Yes, the Bulls could drop some, but I don't see them dropping that low.
Right.
But yeah, I think they're definitely going to be a winning team, and definitely in the playoffs, and just gonna go through a few more bumps in the road than the last 10 for me.
Absolutely. Well, and here I'll throw some teams out for you that they still have to play. So coming up next, they're at home, but they've got to play Memphis, and then they have to play this Brooklyn team. And I mean, listen, you're getting back Durant, you're getting back Kyrie. Who knows? Charlotte's been kind of on and off and stuff, so who knows with them. Dallas obviously starting to come on a little bit. Golden State, we know what they are. Yep. Even with Steph having his little bit of issues here and there with the shooting, he's still fairly competitive. Denver's now starting to pour it on. Utah,
another MVP contender in Jokic again.
Exactly. So and they may get back Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr.
for the playoffs. Yeah.
So it's another dangerous team. Utah has been very good. Minnesota can be hit or miss, but they still have a winning record. And then you've got Miami, and then you have the Bulls, and then you have Milwaukee and Memphis. Bulls, Milwaukee, and Memphis, 3 road games at the very end for them. So that's going to be a tough one, I think. That's going to be a telling point, I think, for the Celtics, where they're at. I'm hoping the Bulls can beat them, but if they can beat the Bucks or beat Memphis, I think that's going to be a good point of where they're at.
Yeah.
If you can go 2-1 of those games, with that loss being to the Bulls, of course. But if you go
absolutely.
But even if you go 2-1, or even if they do somehow go 3-0, that's a huge telling point for them on where they're at for this playoffs, and that could mean they'd be a surprise team.
Well, with the team you just mentioned, we're moving on to the Grizzlies and J Money, Ja Morant himself.
Yep,
he continues to blow up while leading this young Grizzlies team to the playoffs once again.
Absolutely,
and just looking like a complete superstar in the process.
Oh, yeah.
This would be the guy I was referring to as I put a schmeckle on him maybe a few months ago for MVP.
Yeah.
And the way he's been playing lately, 52-point game recently, looking awesome while doing it.
Yeah.
Just the way he plays above the rim. It reminds me of a D-Rose back in the day. But Morant's been playing out of his mind. He's been one of my favorite young players in the league.
Oh yeah,
one of my favorite players to watch because he's so exciting. He plays above the rim for his size.
Absolutely,
it's ridiculous how this man can get up. Well, he's a kid.
Right, yeah, he
can
is.
get up and play above the rim. This is a dude I want to see in the dunk contest, not the garbage they're throwing out there.
Oh, for sure. This guy, he should have been
Yeah.
in the dunk contest. He would have clearly won that.
Oh,
clearly.
easily, hands down.
Yeah.
But Ja Morant, Grizzlies, do you see Ja Morant potentially? This is more of a selfish question for me, but you see him getting in that MVP type range into one of those top few guys that by the end of the season, and where do you see him going the end of the season and the team as a whole?
Yeah. So I definitely think he could be in that MVP conversation by the end. He's clearly playing like
money,
it. Yeah,
money.
he is money. I mean, you
Well,
mentioned
I want money.
Well, yeah, you
so if
want
he wins,
money,
I want the money.
but he is money too as well.
Yeah.
So, but you mentioned something. You said he reminds you of Derrick Rose, and that's the interesting point of this, because I always say like you can like something, but you can also worry about it, right? And this is my thing with Ja Morant. Like, I like him a lot. Don't get me wrong. I thought he clearly should have been the pick that the Pelicans took.
Oh,
because
yeah.
I thought you need a point guard. You need that guy that can lead the team. I know they had just made that trade for Lonzo and all those guys, but I still thought like
I was praying.
I know.
I was praying Bulls get the second pick and get Ja Morant.
So close.
I didn't want the first pick
close.
because they would have taken Zion.
Right, they would have.
And
taken Zion.
I wanted Ja.
Yeah, we needed a point guard at that point, and he would have been great. I still love you, Kobe White. But Ja is clearly above and beyond. So, but nevertheless, you mentioned those guys. Like, I think about him, and it's like D Rose, John Wall, Russell Westbrook. He's really kind of close to those guys in a lot of ways, and that's what kind of worries me, right? Because we know John Wall, the injuries mounted up. Derrick Rose, the injuries, the ACLs.
To reinvent himself.
Right. The Russell Westbrook, obviously, he's been hurt here and there. It's never been a major injury with him. And he doesn't have, I don't think, the mentality like Russell Westbrook. From what I can see, he's a very down-to-earth kind of guy. He's, at least right now, he's not letting the ego bleed out and trying to be Mr. Triple-Double. He's just trying to score to win games.
Yeah.
He's kind of doing a little bit of that Mamba mentality thing where it's like, all right, if these guys are going to struggle, I'll take over. I'll do what I have to do to dominate. 40, 50 points in back-to-back games against the Bulls and the San Antonio Spurs is impressive. It's really impressive. But the fact that he is 175 pounds attacking the rim like that, going up against these bigger centers that are clearly going to try sometimes to put you down because they don't want you to get to points, I'm afraid that he's going to get hurt, right? Because when you think about it, Derrick Rose was, 195 pounds in his prime, right? John Wall was about 195 pounds in his prime. Russ is a pretty built guy for his own right, at 205 or something like that, right? 175 pounds, you can easily get hurt, and he's already been hurt a couple times. So I have all the faith that this Grizzlies team, listen, I said that when they got John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., it feels like that Memphis team when they had Mike Conley, Zach Rudolph, Marc Gasol, Rudy Gay. They've got that squad that you were like, I mean, they don't feel like they should be, but they always are that 45, 50 win team.
Tough interior.
Exactly. And I think this team actually can be better.
Yeah.
I truly do, because I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is a star nobody's really talking about. Steven Adams is a beast down low. He's unstoppable at the center. Brandon Clark, Kyle Anderson are great wings that can work multiple ways. They don't even have Dylan Brooks back. They've got Desmond Bane playing shooting guard, and he's been great for them. And Ja's just an insane man of absolute athletic ability. My just worry is that he's going to get hurt, and that can completely derail what has already become a very amazing career at this point. And I seriously hope that he will develop that three-point shot that none of those other guys were able to fully invest in. I mean, of all of them, John Wall maybe had the best of it, but they were all like 33, 34% shooters. Be like a 36, 37% shooter from three, and it'll save him so much time in his career. I mean, and more passes too, more of the assists as well. He's got that great court vision. So, but I fully expect him to be somewhere in that. If he's not in the MVP conversation this year, he's going to be one of the favorites next year. And I think if he keeps playing like this, again, develop that outside shot, 30 points. I think he could be like a 30-point-a-game kind of player.
Yeah.
He does that, he's winning the MVP next year. I don't think it's happening this year, but I think next year is his time.
The guy puts on a show.
Putting Memphis on the map, folks.
he's so much fun to watch. He
He
puts
is.
on a show, and every single game, it's exciting to watch because he makes the game more fun.
Absolutely, and the fact that he's doing this too in what now year 3, I think,
Yeah.
of his career,
Yeah.
he is now clearly distancing himself all the way from Zion at this point in time. Like it was so,
Oh,
it was
far
it
and
was so
beyond,
much like
above
people were
and
like
beyond.
Zion's so
Yeah.
much farther than Ja Morant. Well, by the end of their rookie season, people are like Ja's like right there with him, and now Ja's like clearly taking it to the next level. So Zion, work out, man. Come on, put down the donuts. Stop with the beignets. Let's
Not expecting much from him.
little
at
cardio.
all.
You might be good. Bulls, do not bring in the new Eddie Curry. I'm asking you, please don't. Don't do it to us. Please, we're good. We're okay. We're okay.
But speaking of fun,
Yes.
would you like to play a game? That's what we're going to do next when we come back on the X-Bomb Sports Live show. We are back, and it is game time. That's right. The game everybody loves, player swap.
Yep.
And before we get into that, got a few comments from King B-Mac.
Absolutely. Our boy King B-Mac was just kind of following up on some stuff when it came to the James Harden situation. He said, and I thought this was interesting, he said, I don't think it was an accident that he didn't file the paperwork to pick up that option after the trade, which is something we talked about at the trade deadline after the trade deadline, he didn't file the paperwork in time to get his contract to get the option. So
said that he was picking up his option, and then all of a sudden they didn't get the paperwork in.
Absolutely. So he said,
how convenient.
absolutely. So much conveniency between
Philly and Brooklyn.
Philly
yep.
and Brooklyn. And he
Yeah.
said, he left himself an out to walk if things go left. Absolutely. I B-Mac, man, we're so glad to have you because you always
We're
make
on the
sure
same page.
You're on the same wavelength as us. I appreciate it. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come with us. Come, please. We want to hear from you.
We'd love
man.
to have you up here. With
Absolutely,
us.
buddy. Absolutely.
So we don't have to read your comments. You could speak them yourself.
Yes, that's true. So I feel like I don't do due diligence for you when we do the show here on Blow the Whistle, and I don't do You're Killing Me Smalls. Right?
We would love to hear the inflection you bring with these comments as well.
I want to hear a personal You're Killing Me Smalls from you, my man. I think we all would. Absolutely.
But is that all we got from him?
That's all we got.
Okay. Now it's time for the game. And our player today, again, like he said yesterday, somebody we talked about.
It was
really top of the line free agent.
Mhm.
And that player will be Davante Adams.
Yes.
Asking you shall receive, people. Davante Adams. We're going to put him, if you don't know, this is how the game works. We're going to take this top player, put him on other teams, switch him with another player,
Mhm.
and predict the outcome of what these players will do for these other teams.
Absolutely.
You ready to get right into it?
Let's do this, man.
Okay. So Davante Adams this year, 2021 stats. He had 123 receptions.
Yep.
Ridiculous. 1,553 yards. Ridiculous. 11 touchdowns. Oh, sorry, it's not 17 like the previous year, but I think 11 will do.
It's calling an off year. Are
yeah.
you kidding me?
Yeah. Boo.
Some only had 4.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get to him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Switch him. You'll see. You'll see when we get there.
Yes.
Last one on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he had 12.6 yards of reception.
Yes.
97.1 yards per game. almost 100 yards a game.
Yeah.
Man's just completely ridiculous. Best receiver in the league right now.
Oh, by far.
Hands down.
By far.
I don't want to say by far because the league is packed with so many solid receivers.
Oh, absolutely.
But the way that he's been playing and what he's been able to do.
He has the crown as of right now.
Absolutely. For 2 years running.
Yeah, absolutely.
At minimum.
Yes.
So the first team on our list for Davante Adams is the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yep.
And we are going to be swapping him with Hunter Renfrow. Renfrow had 103 receptions, 1,038 yards, 9 touchdowns, 10.1 yards per reception, and 61.1 yards per game. Davante Adams for Hunter Renfrow. How do you see this playing out?
Okay, so obviously Davante, I mean, listen, right off the bat, you're reuniting Davante Adams with his old college teammate Derek Carr. They're like best friends. Like I've gone on the record to state this. I think they're far more best friends than Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams will ever be. They have a connection with each other. So I think you're talking about Davante Adams having I'm talking like crazy numbers like Cooper Kupp had last year.
Yeah.
Like seriously, because their connection and because of the fact that he would be their lone kind of like star weapon. Not to mention Darren Waller would be a great complement to that as well as being that possession receiver at tight end for them as well. So honestly, I mean, the Raiders last year, they went to the playoffs. They finished 10-7 last year, right? You're putting Davante Adams on that team. I think that team's like 12-5. I think that team possibly is finishing second, maybe even winning the division, right? Because if the Chiefs have some sort of fall off maybe in that year or next year, whatever the case is, I think Davante Adams clearly helps them get that much better. That passing attack and that defense, yes, it needs work, but that defense was pretty good for what it was in the most part. So, and considering the fact that they went through everything they did, and you're talking about Josh McDaniels gets a top-end wide receiver like Davante Adams in that offense, I think the Raiders make huge improvements. Hunter Renfrow on the Packers, I don't know how Aaron really feels about that. I think he kind of maybe starts to look at other receivers more so.
He goes to another team then.
Yeah, exactly right. He leaves.
He makes his move.
No, listen, if Aaron Rodgers obviously is still on the Packers at that point, right, I think Hunter Renfrow, I don't think the numbers are going to be as big because I don't think he's going to look at Renfrow as being as big a target, even though I do think he's actually like a very underrated wide receiver. I think he's in that top 20 category of receivers at this point.
See, I think Hunter Renfrow would be a kind of guy that Aaron would want to add to the team with Davante Adams.
Exactly.
He'd get one of those more possession type receivers, plays in the
Wes
slot.
Welker type of guy.
He needs somebody like that on that team.
Yeah. So I think that with him on the team, not having Davante Adams to go over the top, let's say they keep like Lazard and Marquez Valdez-Scantling and all those guys, 10-7, 11-6 still. They still have a winning record. Probably still win the division, maybe. I don't know. But nevertheless, I think they don't have as strong a year because they can't vertically go like they did with Davante Adams. So I think it benefits the Raiders far more than it does the Giants, absolutely.
I'm going to preface
The Packers.
I'm going to preface this by saying any team that Davante Adams goes to is going to make them better. They will improve specifically because they have the best wide receiver in the league on their team. So every one of these is the team's going to get better for me.
Yeah,
okay. And Green Bay is always going to get, I don't want to say get worse,
right?
But they're not going to get better,
right?
Losing the best wide receiver and gaining somebody not of his caliber,
right?
So yes, Las Vegas gets better. Mm-hmm. Yes, I bumped their record like you, maybe not as high, but it jumps for me for sure because I agree. I think Davante Adams might even do better there because of the fact that Green Bay doesn't have a second target like Darren Waller. They don't have anybody else like that on that team. Robert Tonyan's a nice player, but he is not Darren Waller.
No,
okay?
Not even close.
There are not many players like Darren Waller in the entire NFL.
No.
So you add a guy like Davante Adams to that offense with the running game they have and Darren Waller, they've got a really high-powered offense. Derek Carr being a very good quarterback. You saw what he was throwing to this past season.
Yeah.
That puts them up there. That puts them winning playoff games more consistently, gives them a chance to work on that defense some more and get better on that side to help with that awesome offense they would have.
And don't forget, too, They're indoors also.
Yeah.
The Raiders are indoors in Las Vegas. They're not
running on that turf.
cold.
He's going to be even faster.
Yep, they're not in the cold Lambeau Field anymore.
Yeah.
He's on that fast turf inside in Las Vegas. Tell me his numbers don't explode again
with
like
Josh
Cooper
McDaniels now. Yes, I agree with you 100%. He could have Cooper Cup numbers, Triple Crown type of winning all three categories. Dude had 120. Yes, he gets thrown to a lot by Aaron Rodgers.
Of
all
course.
the time. But he's going to get thrown to a lot by Derek Carr being there, too.
He could break the receptions record.
He
honestly. He really could.
He could break all those records.
Absolutely.
Now, as far as Renfro on Green Bay, yes, it makes them worse. Like I said, he'd be the kind of guy that
He'd be your
not me
compliment,
personally want
Right.
to see this, but if you were to add a piece, it would be a guy like Renfro to what they already have.
Right.
So yes, I think their record goes down by a lot. Actually, I don't think their offensive passing game is not close to what it is without Davante Adams.
Right. It's not as prolific.
They don't have that scary guy that you have to put 2, sometimes 3 backs on to keep him covered.
Yeah.
Because 2 doesn't do it all the time.
Right.
So and Renfro's a guy you can guard with one guy and shut down. So right there shows you your disparity and where one side's going to majorly win out.
Right.
Next, we have Davante Adams on the Philadelphia Eagles. We are going to swap him with rookie wide receiver. Well, not a rookie anymore. He completed his first year,
Right.
but Devontae Smith. He had 64 receptions, 916 yards, 5 touchdowns, 14.3 yards per reception, and 53.9 yards per game. Swapping Davante Adams with Devontae Smith. How do you see this one playing out?
So again, like you kind of said, Davante Adams. Now, this is interesting because obviously there's the talk of what Philly do with the quarterback thing, right?
They said Hurts is QB1.
Hurts is QB1. That's what they said.
No questions about it.
Right. There was the whole thing about if Russell Wilson was going to be traded because they have obviously all those draft picks that would have made sense to trade for him, right? But Jalen Hurts is their guy. So Jalen Hurts is the quarterback. This helps Jalen Hurts out a lot. This gives him a guy to be able to throw the ball early to. He doesn't have to run around a lot and try to make plays. He knows he has a guy that gets wide open. Granted, he does with Devonta Smith, no problem whatsoever. But Devonta's very young. He's still learning about route concepts and how to fit against defenses.
And a lot smaller of a player than
Right.
Davante Adams
Exactly.
is.
And you're trying to find how to get your hands in the right spot for when the ball's coming in. I mean, you talk about, where to fit the hole and everything and stuff like that. Davante Adams knows how to do all that. So you already are helping your quarterback by getting a veteran wide receiver. And actually, this is something that has been talked about Philly maybe clearing cap space too, to get Davante Adams in Philly with Devonta Smith.
And that would be
crazy.
ridiculous.
That would be ridiculous.
Again, that's pairing those two.
That would be that Philly's probably at least competing with the division against Dallas at that point. And that becomes a very fun series to watch, is Dallas versus Philly.
Oh,
which is already kind of
offensive
entertaining as
firepower.
it is. Yeah, but that would be so good. So we'll see if that happens. But saying the swap, Devontae, Eagles, obviously their season was kind of up and down, right? They just barely kind of sneak into the playoffs. So, I mean, they go from 9-8 this season. Again, I think they jump up to maybe 10-7, 11-6, quite possibly. I think there's a good chance they then do have a chance to win the division. It's going to be tough. Trayvon Diggs versus Davante Adams is going to be very entertaining to watch. But I think that Davante Adams can help the Eagles then be possibly the winners of the NFC East at that point. Devonta Smith on the Packers. Oh, that's tough because I want to say Aaron makes him a stud, right?
I
feel like he would make him a stud. I don't know if he would have the super mega numbers like you see with Davante Adams, but I feel like instead of 916, right, he goes up to 1,300 yards instead of 5 touchdowns.
More like 10 for me.
Yeah, 9 or 10, I would say around there. I look at the numbers of Mike Williams, and I feel like those would maybe be his numbers, plus maybe an extra 100 yards on the numbers. But you're talking about a guy who probably has 90 catches, 1,200, 1,300 yards, and 9, 10 touchdowns, right? So I think Davante Adams on the Packers, again, they're probably 10-7, 11-6 because, again, he's small. So a big corner like Trayvon Diggs or Jalen Ramsey or even Jalen Johnson, right? A little bit guys who are a little bit bigger than him by 20 pounds because he's only 170 pounds.
Those guys can get beat.
Yes, they can get beat. They can get beat.
With his speed, I think I think Aaron Rodgers, his yards boom. I
Okay.
think his yards boom because you've got that deep. He's faster than Davante. While Davante Adams is a fast player,
Right.
Davante Smith is faster.
Right.
I think that over the top stuff you saw at Alabama with him is more of what you see with him in Green Bay.
Okay.
You see that over the top. I think his yards soar.
Yeah.
With Aaron Rodgers because that deep ball that he can throw on a dime.
Yeah.
Is going to be huge for a player like Davante Smith.
Right.
Reception wise, I don't think he definitely won't have 123.
No.
But I could see it getting, closer to that 90 range, but maybe even slightly lower. But the yards go up because of those deep plays. Those
right.
big
Not as
plays
many
for
passes to him, but he
Yes.
gets big yardage after the catch kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I can see that.
Yeah. Did you have any more thoughts on that?
No,
before
please
I
keep going.
rolling?
By all
Okay.
means, man.
Now, obviously, once again, Davante Adams makes Philly a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
Hell of a lot better.
Mhm.
I don't think Davante's numbers they're not going to be definitely not close to the Packers.
Okay.
Definitely not even where Vegas would be.
Yeah.
Because Jalen Hurts is not the best thrower of the ball.
Right.
So it's going to be, I think Hurts' interceptions would go up there because he's going to be forcing the ball to the best wide receiver in the league more often.
Yeah.
So he definitely think that it makes them better. It helps them in the playoffs to having a veteran stud wide receiver knowing what he's doing, getting his spots, and you can rely on him play after play.
Absolutely.
Instead of a rookie like Davante Smith,
Right.
which I think he'll continue to get better and better and will be just fine as well. So Davante Adams' numbers dip some. He makes that team better, but overall, I think it doesn't boost them over the top.
Okay.
I think they do a little better against Tampa in the playoffs.
Yeah.
In that first round playoff game, but I still think it's
Not close.
It's not enough for them to be close with a team like that yet. They
All
still
right.
have a lot of work to do with the rest of it.
Right.
Even the uncertainty with the quarterback. Yes, he's going to be their starter. They still don't know how well if he progresses this next season.
Right. Yeah.
We're going to find out. But
Absolutely. I mean, and I will say this too. If anything, Davante Adams is gonna, again, kind of like in Vegas, right? It's gonna help the tight end situation because Dallas Goedert.
yeah,
A lot of people don't think he's that good. I know he's been bumped and bruised a lot, but he's getting his first shot at being the all-around starter.
number one go-to tight end.
I think he's solid. I think he's going to be good.
I agree.
And if you bring in, if this is legit, they do bring in Davante Adams with Devonta Smith. Aside from this, they do that.
That's a different story.
That you might be looking at like Kansas City light. I'm just saying.
That puts them right in line with going to beat a team like Tampa.
Absolutely.
You need somebody else to take the pressure off of Davante Adams, so you have more one-on-one matchups with the other side.
Exactly.
And Devontae Smith will flourish there.
Yeah.
Because then he can get some underneath routes as well, while Davante Adams gets a lot of underneath routes and makes something out of that.
I kind of hope this happens now.
I don't.
I don't either,
don't.
but like at the same time, like I'm kind of
I'd rather not see him on the Packers.
right. Exactly.
So if I had to choose, I'd rather see him play in Philly than play for
Right.
Green Bay. But
makes Aaron
I'd rather
unhappy,
have him
and
be
whatever
on the
makes Aaron
Bears.
unhappy, we're
Yeah.
happy.
and if Davante Adams isn't going to be there, you better believe Aaron Rodgers is going to stay either.
Yeah. Right.
But moving on to the next one, a little team we talked about possibly Aaron Rodgers wanting to go to.
Mhm.
Denver Broncos.
Yep.
And we are going to swap him with Cortland Sutton. Okay.
Yep.
Broncos wide receivers altogether 149 receptions, 1,977 yards, 7 touchdowns, 13.2 yards per reception, 46.1 yards per game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Sutton's numbers, not quite as good.
Right.
58 receptions, 776 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
You got Tim Patrick with 53 receptions, 734 yards, 5 touchdowns.
Mhm.
Judy with 39 receptions, a very meager 467 yards
Right.
out of a guy who was supposed to take off for them.
Exactly.
And 0 touchdowns.
Right.
Are we swapping him with Sutton or all three? Or take your pick?
Sutton, I guess, is kind of the top guy.
He's
so I guess
basically their top guy.
Basically, by default on this, I guess. Yeah. I would have said Judy, but we're talking about since this past year, so let's just go with that. So.
Okay, we're going with Courtland Sutton.
Yep.
Swapping Davante Adams with Courtland Sutton, Denver Broncos. Where do you think this plays out for both teams?
Okay. So as the Denver Broncos sit right now, they don't have Aaron Rodgers. Nathaniel Hackett knows Davante Adams. I feel like this certainly, again, like you said, this helps improve the Broncos. The problem I feel like is though that I think you would have certainly like 1,100 yards. You'd have like 14, 15 touchdowns. But where the Broncos finished last year, I mean, they were 7-10. I feel like it only gives them one extra win, unfortunately. And it's just because, unfortunately, when you look at the quarterback situation right now, like if you're saying it's Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock, it might help them. I think it'll help. Teddy Bridgewater will help more than Drew Lock. So let's just say Teddy Bridgewater's the starter, right? Teddy Bridgewater probably has like 23 touchdowns, maybe probably around like 13, 14 interceptions as a usual kind of thing. So it helps him in a large way. Giving him Tim Patrick as kind of your complement. Jerry Jeudy being kind of his like number 2 then. If he's fully healthy, that is going to be a very nasty combination, obviously. But as it stands right now, I don't know what that really does for Denver as a whole. Maybe they can get to 9-8. Maybe. But I don't think that it's going to be one of those things where they go from like 7-10 to 10-7 or 11-6, you know?
Right.
It's just not going to be that immediate springboard to all of a sudden they're like, oh, they're competing in the division all of a sudden. Because you still have to find that quarterback. And again, this is saying like they don't have the guy drafted yet. We'll see what happens in the draft if they do take a guy or they do get Aaron Rodgers or somebody. As it stands right now, Teddy Bridgewater being the quarterback, it's nice, it's fine. We saw it in Carolina, we saw it in Minnesota, we saw it in New Orleans. It's effective, but it's not your long-term solution. So to me, I would say right now for where the Broncos stand, 8-9, 9-8 is maybe the outcome. Davante has a huge year, but I think that also comes at the fact that Denver still is not going to be that highly impressive team right off the bat. So, and as for Sutton on the Packers, injury prone. I mean, he's big. I think Aaron Rodgers can make something out of him, but you're looking at like another Allen Lazard, I think, at this point. I don't see him being.
Disagree.
I don't know how much. I don't really like Courtland Sutton that much anymore. I've fallen out of love with him a little bit. So
and I maybe when I get to talking about him, it might help you switch a little bit.
Okay, I will, and I'll just say this: I think for him going to the Packers, I think you're talking 9-8, 10-7 team. Unfortunately. I think he only has maybe like 800-900 yards receiving. Maybe he has like 6 or 7 touchdowns because he's a big body. But the injuries are a concern. But if he's fully healthy, even still, I think Aaron becomes less of a focus on this wide receiver and more of like spread the ball around to multiple receivers type of guy. Instead of just like look for the one guy down the field. And if that's not there, then like obviously, and Aaron Jones obviously is still in this too. So toss it to him.
We're really opposite on this one.
Okay, and so I want to hear from you. Because I knew this was something that we were maybe going to be opposite on because I wasn't sure about Denver how that fits.
We're opposites on this one. So definitely, I think Davante Adams makes any team better. Okay?
Right,
they're going to make the Denver Broncos better. He's a better receiver than Courtland Sutton is. Okay, to me, even though he's better, these two are a lot alike.
Okay,
they're both big body players. They have speed. They can catch the ball downfield. Okay?
Okay.
Now, you look at the Denver Broncos last season. There were games where Courtland Sutton was going out there and getting 2 targets, 4 targets.
Right.
As your number 1 wide receiver, that can never, ever happen. Whether it be your offensive scheme, what they were trying to do, running the ball, their offensive coordinator, whatever it was, I'm basing it off of that. Not going forward with a new head coach, new offensive system, and what they're going to do, because I guarantee you they're going to throw the ball around more this next coming season.
Absolutely.
Use those weapons that they have there.
Right.
But judging off of what happened last season, You've got Jerry Jeudy getting 0 targets in a game, 2 targets in a game. Cortland Sutton doing the same thing.
Right.
As your big body wide receiver who can run downfield. I think a lot of that has to do with the quarterback play that was there for Denver.
Mm-hmm.
So bringing Davante Adams into that situation with a Teddy Bridgewater or a Drew Lock, I think his numbers are going to dip some.
Okay.
He's not going to have those huge 1,500-yard seasons. He's not going to have a lot of touchdowns because look at the touchdowns that the receivers had there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
These guys are all very capable of catching a hell of a lot more touchdowns and more yards and more receptions than what they did this past season.
True.
I think Davante Adams goes to Denver in that system with that they were running last season.
Mm-hmm.
His numbers go down, and you're all of a sudden like, this guy may not be that number one. Why isn't this guy that number one receiver? Does he need Aaron Rodgers to be this way?
Okay.
I feel like a lot of that comes in because you see that. Now you bring Cortland Sutton to Green Bay, and Aaron Rodgers is going to make him a star. Because when Cortland Sutton, yes, he's had some injury problems, but I don't think it was like an ACL type of thing. I don't think it's a reoccurring thing. I think it was just kind of those bad luck injuries, ACLs, one of those type. I don't think it's a reoccurring like soft tissue, hamstrings, quads all the time, back injuries, anything like that.
Okay.
So for me, Cortland Sutton has all the talent in the world to be a 1,200 yard receiver, 10 plus touchdowns.
Okay.
He can get to that point. Again, I don't know that he'll necessarily be a really high reception guy.
Yeah.
He's not going to have 123 like Davante, but he's got the potential to have 80, 90, maybe even push 100 with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
For me.
Okay.
And that's where I think it differs. That quarterback play is such a big deal to me. And what I saw from the Denver Broncos offense throwing the ball around, I think it hurts Davante Adams more than it helps him.
Yeah.
I don't see their record being all that different because of the way they were playing.
Okay.
And Green Bay, I think, while they're not 14 and 4 like they were last season, I don't think it's as huge of a drop off.
Okay.
I think at the very minimum it would be 10-11 wins for me.
I'm glad you brought all that stuff up. That's very interesting. I did not think of that. Like you're right. Like I mean, Tim Patrick clearly could be probably the number one receiver on this team, and he's
numbers wise, he has been their best wide receiver.
Yeah.
Every week, this dude's catching like multiple passes and getting like 70 yards.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe a touchdown.
Yeah.
He only had 5, but he had been the best player there.
Yeah, and the crowd agrees with you apparently. Sorry, folks. If you hear the cheering, something's going on. Yeah. But it's the crowd apparently agreeing.
Good point.
Yeah, Drew's making all the good points. No, I like what you said there. I'm still hesitant because with Cortland Sutton because there are times where I've seen, I mean, it's not all just with the injuries and stuff. There are the times where he's dropped like the easy pass every now and then and stuff. But I do agree. The quarterback play does play a difference in this, and that's kind of where I've come from.
2 and 4, 2 and 4 targets a game, and you expect him. You're uninvolved in the game, basically, and
he's more of a blocker than anything.
Okay, so when the time comes, it makes it more difficult. Like I know you're getting paid millions to play professional football,
right?
But you need to stay engaged in the game throughout in order to make those big plays when they come your way.
Absolutely, and that's those are really good points. I'm glad you brought those up because those are really good points. It may be. I mean, I've said this. I mean, I did say once that I think Aaron Rodgers was the reason why Davante's become the star he has.
Yeah.
And I still stick by that. So, yeah, I think maybe going to Denver, maybe he does get more exposed. I only say the numbers would go up because I feel like at that point they would. I don't know. I don't necessarily know if they would, but I feel like because Nathaniel Hackett knows Davante Adams, he would be like, okay,
right.
It's kind of like the whole thing when Cleveland got Odell Beckham Jr. All right, we've got this piece. We've got to use it because we traded for it. So now we have no other choice but to make sure that we use this receiver. So make every opportunity to get the ball to him. Yeah. That's my only fear is that they would try to force that to happen. And then that takes targets away from Tim Patrick and away from Jerry Jeudy. And then those guys have less numbers. And now you have a less valuable passing attack on your hands.
I honestly don't know if their numbers could get any lower, especially Jerry Jeudy. I know he missed a lot of games because of injury. Right. But yes, again, with going forward with Nathaniel Hackett, new offensive system. They're going to throw it around more, have to throw it around more, and utilize these weapons more.
Yeah.
In that scenario, in that system, more like Green Bay, even with the quarterback situation, his numbers don't dive as much.
Right.
But when your top receivers are getting so few targets, not catches, targets, that means the quarterback's looking their way 2 times a game, 4 times a game. And that is not good enough.
No, yeah. And again, like we've said with the other two, it opens up something for Noah Fant. And on this team too, Javonte Williams and possibly Melvin Gordon, if he is coming back with the team. You're talking about it. Maybe this Denver team is a lot better than I'm giving them credit for. It's
plus that defense.
Plus that defense. It's just tough when the quarterback. Again, we're just saying the quarterback is who it is. If it is Teddy Bridgewater, it just feels like that's a tough sell. But maybe this is the team that Teddy Bridgewater always needed. Who knows, right? Because I have said myself, Minnesota did him no justice when he drafted him. They gave him nothing other than Adrian Peterson, who was at that point kind of going on the back end of his career, and a Percy Harvin, and that was it. Like, they traded away Sidney Rice and all those guys, and Kyle Rudolph was really young. They didn't give him a lot of weapons. And, I mean, he did get hurt.
Yeah.
But obviously they didn't give him a lot to work with either. And the offensive line at that point was old and or not good. So maybe this is the break. Who knows? Maybe he even becomes a Pro Bowler. Who knows? Maybe this is the Teddy Bridgewater team he's always needed.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but
it looks a lot. It looks a lot better than it did in his first start in Minnesota or when he was in Carolina. I mean, there's more here.
A lot of weapons.
Absolutely. And a coach that I feel like you could trust, because I don't trust Matt Rule anymore.
And it's like Vic Fangio, yes, you're a great defensive guy.
Absolutely.
You haven't really you didn't find that offensive guy that's going to make that offensive system, make that offense go.
Exactly.
And I think Hackett is going to have a better opportunity at that.
For sure.
All right, our last 2 teams keeping it in the division. We are going to start with the Detroit Lions. And our swap, young rookie, came on middle end of the season and soared, and boy, did he take off. And catching the ball, reception after reception.
Absolutely.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, okay? This dude was ridiculous with a Detroit team that has lost its top wide receivers.
Yep.
And this guy, this young rookie, became their number 1 wide receiver, and he excelled at that position.
Oh, absolutely.
He had 90 receptions, 910 yards, 5 touchdowns, 10.1 yards per reception, 53.6 yards per game. And the only reason that's so low is because the whole start of his season, he wasn't a factor, really.
Right.
But the way he turned it on at the end, this dude's a player, and he's going to be a really solid player for them or any team.
Oh, yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, Davante Adams, swap them. What do you think?
Okay, Davante Adams on the Lions. That team's no longer a 3-13 and 1 team after last year. That team probably is like a 6-11 team. Okay, they improved by 3 wins. Jared Goff has his top receiver. Yes, he had it in Los Angeles with Cooper Kupp and obviously Robert Woods. And he had a bunch of weapons there. He's got a focal point there now as well. The receivers that also will work with him, like Chris Raymond and a few others, it's a good compliment for them too, because obviously he draws the double team. He gives them a great chance. TJ Hawkinson. Again, these teams, the teams I chose here for a reason are teams that have tight ends that this helps them a lot. Hawkinson becomes a better tight end. I think could become like 1,000-yard tight end or 900-yard tight end.
I think he should already be there.
He definitely should be.
He has the talent to, for sure.
Yes, and Dan Campbell being a former tight end for the Lions, by the way, if you didn't know, I think he's going to find every way to get that kid the ball. But if Davante Adams is on that team, I would say Davante probably 1,200 yards or so, 12 touchdowns, I would say. Jared Goff is not a terrible quarterback. He's not a great quarterback, but he's good enough, and he can clearly still get the ball out. He still has an arm. So don't tell me Davante Adams and him cannot find a way to connect.
Oh, they will.
They will find a way. And Dan Campbell will be jumping out of his pants how happy he would be to have that happen. DeAndre Swift coming out of the backfield is going to be super helpful. You can use him in
his
the
old
passing
teammate
game.
Jamal Williams,
And his old teammate Jamal Williams. It gives him familiarity. There is so much that helps this Lions team, and I get giddy because I think this Lions team could be on the rise. I know they're possibly
Giddy?
a little giddy. I'm just being honest.
Take that back.
They could listen. I'm not saying
That doesn't make me giddy. That makes me upset and pissed off.
Look,
okay,
the
the Detroit Lions are something to be worried about.
No,
I'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get that. But okay, but for Davante Adams, I think it's an improvement. It's a huge step for the Lions. Again, 6-11, maybe even 7-10. I don't know. This team was on the brink of possibly having a winning year, or at least being like 8-9 throughout the year. They were competitive with so many teams at every time, and God knows they had those incredible wins against the Vikings and so forth. So
Cardinals.
And the Cardinals. So I like the chances of Davante Adams being on the Lions. I think it's the stepping stone they need. And again, reason he's on here too is because the Lions are looking for a receiver. They have the most salary cap, or one of the top 3 cap spaces to work with. They want to burn $30 million a year, and he wants to maybe try and see if he can resurrect the franchise and
pair him with Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, it'd be something.
A guy who got 90 reception as a rookie, and then you have a guy who got 123.
Absolutely. And remember this, folks. Amon-Ra St. Brown is not a first-round pick. He is, in fact, I believe he was a 4th or a 5th-round pick. He was not a high pick. Now, Amon-Ra St. Brown on Packers, lot of depth. He's getting paired with his brother, by the way, too, Equanimous, who is bigger, who is apparently stronger.
And not as good.
Not as good. Not even
close.
I think Amon-Ra St. Brown becomes the new star in Green Bay. This is what he did with Jared Goff. You're talking 115, maybe 120 receiving yards. 1,300 receptions. Sorry. 1,300 receiving yards. I'm looking at like 11 touchdowns, maybe kind of like Davante Adams did. The yards per game, the yards per catch, they're going up significantly.
Right.
He is super explosive. I watched him since his days at USC. I know you don't like him, but
I like Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I do like Amon-Ra St. Brown too. So, but he's explosive in college. He was supposed to be possibly a first-round pick.
Helped me win a fantasy championship.
He did.
He was my diamond in the rough.
He was so special for what the Lions did. I cannot imagine him not going to the Packers and Aaron being like, "Oh, this is a guy I could use." He knows what guys have special talent. He's been able to identify them. Don't tell me you can't find the special, like you said, diamond in the rough with this kid.
Yeah.
And boy, when you polish this diamond, he sparkles. And I think he would sparkle even more with the Packers. I think they're a 12-5 team with them, 11-6, something like that. They're not too far off from where they are right now. He's that much of a difference maker, folks. He doesn't really, the needle does not move too much moving on from Davante Adams, I think, to Amon-Ra St. Brown in this switch, honestly.
I think it's a little further apart than that for me.
Okay.
But yes, I think bringing Davante Adams to Detroit definitely makes them better. If Amon-Ra St. Brown can have 90 receptions, then Davante Adams can have more like his 123, could have 140, 150. I know that's a big number.
Right,
but
yeah.
Like that has that potential. He's going to get those 1,500-yard seasons.
Right.
10 plus touchdowns all the time. Like he's still, yes, like you said, Jared Goff is not the best quarterback in the world,
right,
but he's not the worst quarterback either.
No.
I don't think he's great, but he can get his receivers the ball. Obviously. Just judging by what we saw with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Okay. And Jared Goff didn't play the entire season. He missed some games. So I think having Davante Adams on that team definitely helps them.
Right.
They have other pieces, like you said, Hawkinson, that help take that pressure off. That'll make Hawkinson even better, more wide open.
Yeah.
So it ups their win total some. They're not the second worst record in the league,
right?
For sure. It doesn't make them a winning team just because they need so much more first, but it definitely helps push them more towards that 500 mark.
It makes the rebuild go from like 6 years to like 3 years. I would say.
It
Cuts it in half.
and it instantly puts that offense in a position where you could put up 25, 30 points a game with that talent there.
Absolutely.
And everybody's going to be scared of them because, okay, you're going to double cover Davante Adams. Okay, now you got TJ Hawkinson.
Right.
Okay, so now you're going to double cover TJ Hawkinson, and you got DeAndre Swift coming out of the backfield.
Right.
Oh, you want to double both of them? You're going to have whoever.
Right. Yeah.
Khalif Raymond, or if they end up picking him up and they have Amon-Ra St. Brown on this team still, and the two of them paired together, look out.
Absolutely.
That sucks for being a Bears fan because that offense instantly is better than the Bears.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'll try not to hate you too much.
I know.
Now moving Amon-Ra St. Brown to Green Bay.
Yeah.
I don't think it's quite what they get out of Davante, but that he has, if he can get 90 receptions with Jared Goff in Detroit, with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, that gives him the potential. Again, they play inside. Green Bay is outside.
Right.
It gives him that potential to be up in that 110, 120 mark in that area.
Yeah.
100 to, let's say, 120 receptions.
Okay.
Potentially even more. Because this guy wasn't utilized very much. He didn't get a lot of run. He may have been out there, but he wasn't getting targeted a lot or thrown the ball a ton.
No, not till late
until later in the season, and he ends up with 90 receptions and almost 1,000 yards.
Absolutely.
Ready to see a full season out of this guy.
Yes.
And if it was a full season with Aaron Rodgers, easily over 1,000 yards. I'm putting him in the 1,300 to 1,500 receiving yards range. Is very, very possible for this guy.
Yeah.
Touchdowns definitely go up 10 to even maybe 15 potential for this guy.
Okay.
With a player like Aaron Rodgers throwing him the football.
Yeah.
Again, 5 touchdowns just mostly at the end of the season. Put that together for a full season, you double that. And possibly even more because when he turned it on, it was past halfway season.
Absolutely.
10.1 yards per reception. I think that goes up too because they can use him more downfield. I think it won't go up by a ton.
Right.
Maybe another half a yard and a half.
I'd give him like a yard or two possibly because Aaron can air it out a little bit more than what Goff can. But
again, Detroit even has like Hawkinson's a better option than everybody but Davante Adams on Green Bay.
Right, yeah.
So you
absolutely
get those situations, that helps a lot.
Right.
And then losing a guy like that to be your secondary wingman out there, I think it could hurt him in Green Bay. I think he'll get targeted a lot there, so to make it work. But I think overall, both teams, I don't want to say I think Green Bay stays about the same, maybe not quite as many wins still, but St. Brown's numbers go up, and Davante makes Detroit better, and with close to the same numbers.
Okay. All right. I like that.
All right. Last one, final one, hometown Bears.
I had to do it for you. Had to.
And our guy with only 4 touchdowns. Okay, we are swapping Davante Adams with Darnell Mooney. Okay.
Yep.
Mooney had 81 receptions, got over that 1,000-yard mark, 1,055 yards, only 4 touchdowns, 13 yards per reception, and 62.1 yards per game. Swapping Davante Adams with Darnell Mooney. What's it look like for you?
All right. Davante Adams on the Bears. Oh, to dream. Oh, to dream. Could this happen real quick? I'm just going to say I don't think it will because of the cost, obviously, unfortunately. But to play devil's advocate, to do the hypothetical, so he comes to the Bears. Justin Fields has his go-to guy. And Darnell is really fast and great down the field, but this is your everything wide receiver. Down the field, mid routes, short route, all that stuff, yards after the catch. He is your everything guy. He becomes your weapon. He opens the game up for Cole Kmet. I don't know if Cole Kmet is going to be the guy at tight end or not for the Bears in the long run, just being honest. But I think it does help him in a major way. It opens up his ability to score touchdowns because now you're taking a man, hopefully, out of the box with Davante Adams, with the linebackers, to be able to help Cole Kmet open up over the middle. So there's a chance now he's going to score some touchdowns. He's going to get in the end zone. He's going to be a bigger factor, right? At this point, because of who else would be out there, I mean, listen, obviously Allen Robinson gone, right? So you're talking about guys like Marquise Goodwin and maybe Demir Bird or
Who
whoever's
was a
coming
free
back.
agent as well.
Right.
Demir Bird's a free agent.
There's a ton of guys that are
a lot of overhaul.
Right. There's a lot of overhaul, but let's just say those guys stay on the roster real quick. Those guys then I think get a huge boost as well. Not too much, but you obviously 300-400 yards a piece potentially because they're speedy wide receivers that can float down the middle, right? They get a couple of touchdowns here and there. Davante, though, I think you're talking about 100-plus catches. I think you're talking about 1,400 yards, maybe about 9-10 touchdowns possibly, just because Justin Fields is still young and learning. But again, this is the same thing kind of with Jalen Hurts. Veteran wide receiver paired with young quarterback means young quarterback is going to be able to learn a little bit quicker because the veteran wide receiver is going to be able to help him to understand route concepts, understand how to read defenses. It's a great opportunity then for Justin Fields to very much improve.
Yeah, absolutely.
Darnell Mooney on the Packers. Maybe I'm over-exaggerating on this. I don't know. I feel like is Tyreek Hill light. His speed, his ability to run routes is clean, cut stuff. Rodgers would notice that. Throw the deep ball. I'm thinking this guy would average probably about like 15, 16 yards per catch. He would be insane. The screen passes you could run with him could be immense. I'm thinking this guy could be another 1,400-yard guy. Probably about 80, 90 catches, somewhere around there, similar, because he wouldn't need to be a volume catcher. He would really need to be the explosive receiver. So he might even have less. He might have 75 catches, but have like 1,400 yards and like 13 touchdowns because all Rodgers has to do is throw it. He's 10 yards ahead of his guy and in the end zone touchdown. So, I mean, listen, Mooney could get lost in the mix, obviously, as a slot receiver or something like that. But I think Rodgers would realize he has the potential to work this guy on the outside. As a starter, and that's what I'm saying, as the replacement swap for swap as starters, you're putting him in the starting lineup as your starting wide receiver. I think Rodgers uses him. I think he becomes huge and explosive, becomes a Pro Bowl wide receiver. Like I said, I feel like he's a little bit Tyreek Hill light. Not Tyreek Hill, but Tyreek Hill light. That's me.
Okay. Okay, for me, Davante Adams on the Bears instantly helps Justin Fields immensely.
Yes.
Okay. You have one go-to guy you can count on consistently. And it's not like the Allen Robinson situation where you thought you could count on this guy and they just never went that way.
Absolutely.
Davante Adams is a different dude.
Yes.
Okay. And adding that kind of player to your offense is going to instantly boost you.
Right.
Justin Fields' deep ball accuracy has been on display at times. You've seen a lot of that. That will come in big. Yes, he's got it with Aaron Rodgers too. His numbers go down in Chicago just for the fact that it's not Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
It's Justin Fields. It's a young quarterback still learning. So I think his numbers dip. He still has the potential to be a 100 reception guy, 1,200 something yards, maybe lower just because of the inconsistencies of Justin Fields so far as a young player.
Right.
But touchdown wise, I feel like he could be right around the 10 mark.
Yeah.
There with the Bears. Like we said, they had the potential. How many times did the Bears move the ball downfield in some of these games just to go get in the red zone and you go 3 and out, or you get down there, you get to the goal line and you're kicking field goals, because they never had a stud, reliable receiver you could throw it up to and he's coming down with it.
Exactly.
98% of the time.
Yeah.
And that's what Davante Adams would be. That's what he would bring to this team. I think we would get a lot more touchdowns down in that red zone. Improves the team, improves Justin Fields. So I think he's got that potential to stay around that 10, 11 touchdown range.
Absolutely.
As far as Darnell Mooney going to the Packers, he has the potential to be Tyreek Hill like. I don't think he's quite close to Tyreek Hill in what he can do.
Yeah.
He's got some of those attributes, those fast guy doing some of those things. There's nobody really quite like Tyreek Hill.
Right.
He's one of a kind, fast as hell, catches the ball at anywhere on the field, and you got to be worried about him taking it to the house.
Yeah.
I don't think Darnell Mooney is quite that guy. I think Darnell Mooney is more of a guy you're going to run downfield, run over post route, deeper routes. He can run some intermediate stuff more to the sideline, and deep routes are more for him. Yes, some screens as well, but I don't think he does quite as much with the ball as what a Tyreek Hill would do.
Okay.
I think his numbers would go up. I think he goes more to like 90 or 100 receptions. I put some. The yards, I think, go up a lot more because I think he's getting targeted more and getting a lot more thrown his way. So I'm thinking more like 1,300 type of yards. Okay. Touchdowns definitely go up too because you're going to have more opportunity, better quarterback getting you the ball. It's going to be there. So I think he's got the potential to get up there to that 10, 11 touchdown mark, just like Davante Adams did this past year there as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'd be 16 yards a catch, but he's got, being that downfield guy, he's got more of that potential where Davante Adams runs a lot of right next to the line of scrimmage routes. He does some of those slants. He does some of those out routes because he's ridiculous hands.
Absolutely.
Obviously, replacing a guy like Davante Adams with Darnell Mooney isn't going to make you a better team.
Right.
I feel like their wins will go down because Davante Adams accounts for a hell of a lot more than that.
Yes, absolutely.
A hell of a lot more attention that opens up other guys that Darnell Mooney would not account for.
Yeah.
So I think definitely Chicago Bears get better. It benefits Justin Fields. It helps them get more wins and opens up things for other guys. But Green Bay kind of goes down a bit, stays more stagnant, more where they're at. But definitely a few more losses for me there.
Okay, I will say this. Maybe Tyreek Hill was maybe too much of a stretch. Let me go with this. He's Randall Cobb, but a little bit more of a stretch the field kind of guy in that sense. Yeah,
and that's was a huge target for Rodgers many years.
Yeah, and I think he can see that. I mean, listen, Randall Cobb even still being there can be a benefit on that too. So I agree. I think Green Bay, you want to put a number on it, I'll say 10-7. Something like that. I think you're right. They do drop in the numbers because it may not be the same. So, yeah, I'll take off the Tyreek Hill light, put on the Randall Cobb, maybe a little bit better than Randall Cobb, let's say. Because there just seems to be more receiver to him, whereas Cobb was kind of like, I felt like more of a track star that played wide receiver. Mooney feels like a receiver that's just fast. You know what I mean? There's more receiver to him, I feel like, than nothing against you, Cobb. It's just you were just really fast, and you dropped a lot of easy passes at times. And your only claim to fame for us is you beat Conti. Congratulations.
Yeah,
who cares?
That's too much.
No, for the Bears, honestly, where were they finished? It's 6-11 this year, so 8-9, 9-8 possibly. Yeah. I mean, maybe that's too much of a jump. Might even have to say like 7-10 possibly. It could be a gradual thing because again, Justin Fields, but it definitely does make them better. They definitely do improve, and I would say like 8-9 could be the sitting point. And let's not forget too, Luke Getsy is the offensive coordinator. He is the quarterback's coach, and one thing quarterbacks coach do know, they know the quarterback, and they also get to know the wide receivers. And don't tell me he wouldn't know how to use Davante Adams with the Justin Fields. I think that would be a great pairing. I think that would be the magic that could make this Chicago Bears team finally become a passing team.
Go get him. Pay him whatever the hell he wants to. They got cap room.
Cut some guys. Yeah. Eddie Jackson. It's okay.
Yeah.
Bears fans will be happy.
If it was a decision of cutting Eddie Jackson to get Davante Adams here, done. See ya. Adios.
Like Thanos snaps his fingers, gone.
Yeah. All right. I am inevitable.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, if only.
That does it for our game. It was fun though.
Absolutely.
We had another long show today.
Yes,
it was a lot to talk about. Good conversation.
Oh yeah.
It was great.
Always
fun. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you, listen to you, hear you, and all your socials, because that's the end of our show.
Absolutely. Well, folks, if you want to find me, I am always here. I'm at The Fluffy Guru on Twitter. I'm at Boom Crew Captain on Instagram as well. So make sure to go follow me here. And, of course, you guys can find me here on the X-Bomb Sports Live Show, where I'm most of the time hosting. But if I'm not, Drew's always hosting, and I'm helping co-host with him. Hopefully when we can get some more of the crew back in here, I can do more of the behind the scenes. Someday.
Some way.
We're working on it.
Yeah,
we're working on it. But
Even though we love you.
Absolutely, we love you, buddy. But
We're not limiting it to one person.
no,
It's all of them.
absolutely.
It's collective.
It's a collective of people. One in particular, she doesn't want to go on camera, but we're gonna do it. You don't you say you don't want to, but trust me, you will be. You two would be a star on here on camera. So
we've had a lot of witty banter back and forth. So
that's perfect. Then we've got to do it. There's no more excuses. It's happening. We just summertime most likely is probably when it's gonna happen. So be on the lookout for that, folks. But yeah, guys, make sure to follow us, X-Bomb Sports. Obviously, find us myself here every Wednesday and Thursday. Find me Blow the Whistle every Tuesday and every Monday. We're going live with the radio show tomorrow at some point. I don't know when. I may be groggy when I'm doing it because they're saying like 11 a.m. and I get off of work at 9. So we'll see. I don't know. But that's everything for me.
All right. Well, you can find me right here on Wednesdays and Thursdays, hosting, co-hosting, and sometimes just playing around in the back. But you can find me on Instagram at d.gwil25 and Facebook at Drew Gwillem. Now, for our socials, Facebook, like and follow our Facebook page at facebook.com/Team XBomb Sports. Catch our live show every Wednesday and Thursday from 5:30 to 6:30, sometimes later, sometimes longer, like today. But we've had some trouble streaming to Facebook lately, so videos are getting posted there just few days after the fact. Sometimes
I'm working on getting the newest ones up, so a little bit of patience. We'll get those up there. Promise you. It's Facebook's still trying to fight me here, but I'm fighting back, folks.
Yeah, but we are streaming to YouTube and Twitch when it works as well.
Yes.
So for Twitter and Instagram, follow us on our socials at XBomb Sports on both Twitter and Instagram. Post sports stories every now and then. We got a little quick little videos.
Yep.
Some behind the scenes stuff. Still working on all of that.
Yeah.
It's a process.
It's a work in progress because obviously
the crew's gone.
The crew's not gone, but we're kind of divided at this point. We're split up into different spots right now. So hopefully, I'm hoping. We haven't talked, but I'm hoping by at some point, like summertime, we're hoping to kind of get together because we're trying to develop something for Drew here. Obviously, I'm trying to get that worked out. Me and you gotta sit down and kind of work out the things here and there for that. So we're gonna work on that. We're gonna work on some other content. We're gonna change things up, rebrand a little bit, get into a new season because we're going long on season 7. So I want to get us into season 8. So be on the lookout for that, folks.
Well, and if you have any suggestions for us that you'd like to throw in for this new rebrand, any talks about anything else,
absolutely,
you can send us an email with your questions, comments, any more Mo Bamba videos, Trace McSorley, and all that. Andrew loves seeing that. But you can email us at xbomb or xbsportsofficial@gmail.com.
400 emails, folks, of the videos between McSorley and Mo Bamba. You guys are nuts. 400.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Love you guys, but geez.
We are also simulcasting on Twitch every now and then at twitch.tv/xbombsports when it's working.
Yes.
It's not right now. Be on the lookout for that. We'll let you know. Usually Andrew posts something on Facebook or throws a message out there to let everybody know what's working, what's not, what's going.
I got frustrated, so I was just like, I don't want it. So sorry.
F it.
Yeah.
F it.
I just couldn't do it.
All right. Now, as far as some of our affiliated shows and our guys here, we have Blow the Whistle. Check out the Andrew, David, Tyler. Hopefully get Brandon back in as well since he is back in the Illinois area.
Yeah, shout out to our boy Brandon.
Congratulations on the new position. Guys, just killing it.
Very proud of you, man.
Getting all kinds of stuff out there, and just he's going to be live on there.
Yeah, hosting a country show.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brandon, I can't remember what it was, but it's in Taylorville, Illinois.
I believe it's Taylorville, Illinois.
Yeah, country station. He's about 3 hours down, so we're gonna go say hi to him at some point.
Absolutely, and hopefully get him back in here.
Absolutely,
and definitely send some shout outs his way, some congratulations, because the dude is just working his ass off and killing it left and right.
And if you really want to talk to him about baseball, talk to him about baseball.
I'm sure he's
not a happy camper.
I'm sure he's itching to get talking about some baseball and sports again.
Absolutely.
So. But you can check them at sportsdownchicago.com every Monday from 2 to 4 p.m. And here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, whatever is going to be working for us every Tuesday from 5:30 to 6:30 as well. Monday Motivation with Hannah B. Check out it. She's got an awesome podcast. Monday Suck. Waking up for work on Monday morning is usually a struggle.
Oh, yeah.
Commute, wherever you got to go. If you have some time in the car, take a listen. She'd start your day off right, give you some motivation, some positive energy, and just start your day off right with her. And along with that, she also does an awesome job as the afternoon drive host on 102.3 XLC. She's on air from 3 to 7 p.m. Like I said, the afternoon drive. She is doing a phenomenal job.
Absolutely.
Check out her socials as well. Her on social media. She's throwing videos out and posts constantly, giving content out there. So check her out. She's a good follow, and
she loves her job.
It is great to see where she's started and where she's at now.
Absolutely.
And to see her just living out her dream and every day doing what she loves best.
Absolutely. Proud of you, Hannah.
Yeah, we are very proud of you. Next, check out our guys at the Parlay who are one day away from a big announcement. So check them out on their social media. The Parlay with Tony Lopez alongside former NBA and professional boxer Kendall Gill for our boxing, MMA, and combat sports talk. Check them out at theparlay.com. Like I said, they will be throwing out a big announcement coming tomorrow. They have some new things going on, maybe a little rebrand going for them as well. So they have big things coming. Check them out. They do awesome work. They're great listen. Jake Paul, quit being a little bitch and fight Kendall already. Quit ducking him because you know you're going to lose.
Hashtag Gil versus Paul. Hashtag Paul versus Gil.
Paul. Hashtag
let's get it going.
Gil's going to kick your ass because you're a little bitch, Jake Paul.
It's a long hashtag.
Yeah.
But I like it.
I like it. I like it too. And with that will do it for us here. Thank you for being here this week with us. We've had some good shows. It's been fun. It's been real. It's been fun.
It's been long,
but it's also been real fun.
Yes, this has.
Yes. So, yeah, and it's been long shows for us as well.
Yeah,
But
we'll find a way to try and cut down the time. But we've got a lot to
get
say.
there.
Yeah,
we got a lot of hot air to spew.
Especially if a certain somebody starts coming by and it's like, hey, okay, go.
Yeah, time to go.
Yeah.
But as for us, it is time to go. Thank you for being here and checking us out. We love to do this stuff and put out this content for you guys as much as possible. So
absolutely.
Have a great weekend. We will see you all next week. And thank you for being here with us on the X-Bomb Sports Live Show.